This is Working Class Frame Rate. I'm your co-host, Josue Ariano, here with my co-host.
Austin.
And walking into her private hell, dude, I'm not like the biggest Nicolas Winding Refn fan. I didn't expect to be like
Yeah.
absolutely enamored by this movie, but I was blown away at how much I love this movie, and I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. I don't know what were some of your impressions, because we actually watched this movie together. Were we sat next to each other?
We
I can't
did.
remember. Yeah.
We were. We were.
Oh, that's
I
right.
heard you
Yeah,
moaning the whole time.
we were holding hands at one point. I felt your skin touch my
Dude.
leg at one point. It
This
was
made me so horny. I was like, come here, Sway. You look so tiny and squishy right now.
Yo, I just wanted to grab your beard, bro. Like during this movie, I was like, bro.
I wish you did. I would have bust.
Dude, this is a movie for lovers, bro. I don't know what to tell you, bro. I don't know what to tell you. But what were your first impressions?
If you love to love, this is your film.
No, 100%. What were you feeling while watching this movie? Because man, there's so much to talk about with this movie. I fucking adored this.
You know, to be fair, on my first watch, I think I felt every conceivable emotion, where there was actual points where I was like, did he post ass? Like, is this is ass? And then then there was points where I was like, no, dude, this is the Sistine Chapel. He got God's finest marble, and he carved a film that will lead us for generations.
Now, okay, let's talk a little bit about the summary for our listeners, because a lot of people have been up and down the timeline talking about how this movie has no plot. I just rewatched it.
Phones.
Bro, I need everybody to stop doom scrolling. Listen, albeit, right, I was saying that the plot line was thin, but I kind of don't even stand on that anymore. I feel like the plot line is pretty straightforward. It's not as like thick and dense as other plots may be, but I don't even think it's thin either. You've got Leatherman, who is killing a bunch of motherfuckers, in search of his daughter. He has lost his purpose, right? He now just kills indiscriminately, He's lost his purpose. And then, of course, you have Charles Melton's character, Detective K, who is in search of Leatherman because he took his daughter.
Also lost a daughter. We have 2 dads, no daughters. It's a really bad season for dads in this film.
And a daughter without a father. And her trying to find her purpose in this world and trying to find a sense of who she is. And this is just the general themes of what I picked up from the movie. So I frankly don't understand the loose plot angle here. I can totally understand people feeling a little bit bored if they're not willing to give themselves into the atmosphere. And I do think that this movie requires so much of you to just be like, you know what? I'm in your world, Mr. Refn. Take me with you. If you want to get it, then you'll settle into the world. I don't know. What do you feel about that?
I think the plot is... See, I reject this notion of incoherence with this film. I think all the plot threads are there. This is sort of, do you want to go into positives? Because it's going to kind of lead into a discussion I want to have about the structure overall.
Sure. Yeah, let's talk about this. This has been the main point of contention with this movie. People talk about the structure, and people talk about how there's no plot. And I also have a lot to say about the editing in this movie, but keep going.
Well, I think there's really just one plot. I think funny enough, I think my overall prescription for what this movie's doing is purely psychological. I think if you know giallo structure, or in terms of like if you're very familiar with giallo structure, I think it does a very clever trick where it sort of shows subconscious imagery and the conscious imagery side by side, and it doesn't really give you a thread to tell you which one is clarified as the main, like what is happening, or if this is just the fictitious reality. And I think a lot of it, especially because it's about a girl who's basically isolated in her tower, like on some like Rapunzel type beat, I think a lot of it's
you
just
have Dominique
in her head,
as the
for
evil,
my interpretation.
You have Dominique as the evil stepmother. That's what she proclaims herself to be. So, yeah.
And she has that one friend, Hunter, who's just like annoying. Like that's her character, I guess. She's just kind of sucks. But like,
I want to be an orphan too.
Dude,
it's like one of the funniest lines of the movie. I mean, I don't know if you saw the clip, but that was actually Sophie Thatcher's idea. to do the barking stuff.
Really?
Yeah. So a
Love
lot
it.
of people chopped it up to Refn, which I wouldn't put it past him, but
Yeah. I
yeah,
was gonna say I thought it was him too. I can't say.
yeah. And I don't want to stray too far away from the acting and what I really enjoyed about it, because it's a whole
Mhm.
different conversation. But Sophie Thatcher, I think just understood the assignment so well because the barking scene is so fucking funny, dude. It's so clearly like just jokes. And you know, the freedom that Refn has to give Sophie Thatcher and the actors to do this sort of barking scene, honestly amazing. I adored that scene so much.
Mhm. I love that scene as well. Well, and I think, funny enough, back to my point about the structure, I think it's very intentionally, uh, at times cheesy, but also a little strange because these are very strange people in a very strange environment. But also, I think it just gives you a platter. It's there for you to engage with if you want it or not, and Refn chooses to just let you pick up the pieces and go, okay, this leads to this. This is what this means, and I think he's much more attempting to just sort of curate a different reality for you to sort of exist in and letting you sort of enjoy the act of putting the jigsaw of it together as well. Side by side, I think there's a sort of a cohabitation happening between filmmaker and audience.
And I love the way that this movie is edited from one world to the other. It's almost through the mist that these worlds are kind of colliding in the movie itself, but also for the story, how we navigate from L's world to Detective K's world. We get these slow-mo shots of L passing and Detective K passing, and then we're back in Detective K's world. And I love the transition between these worlds. It was so much fun because I honestly enjoyed both of these worlds. I love spending time with the characters in L's world and the movie that they were making and everything that was happening in her world. And I also love the Yakuza side arc of Charles Melton. And
So
dude,
cool.
the fighting sequences here are shot so fucking well. Better
Oh,
than
they're
some of the
enthralling.
actions. It's better than some of the action sequences I've seen from other movies this year. And you know, this goes without saying. Everyone has praised the camera and lighting of this movie because, rightfully so, the lighting and camera work in this movie is gorgeous. Dude, I fucking love the night sky, especially when we're in that hotel that overlooks this cyberpunk city. The
Oh, I
blue
mean,
and
even the stars in the skies, like the
yeah,
details of the galaxy.
yeah,
It's
man.
like a whole web. It's beautiful. No, I agree with you. I think this is like easily top 3 best shot films of the year. And you know what's funny is to add to your point, I actually think this is a rare instance where sometimes CGI that's a little more cartoonish can actually enhance a sort of hyper reality. And like I heard
Yeah.
so many reviews and so many people going like, "Oh, this is like Roku City." And I was like, I don't think this is
As
Roku
if
City at all.
Roku City isn't kind of fucking cool. I like
Yeah,
Roku
yeah.
City.
Like,
Roku City's cool.
no, exactly. And also, too, like, what do you want it to look like? Because here's my problem, too, is I just think so many people talk about like, oh, we want more creative worlds, we want real sets, we want lighting, and then you get a film that's all about sort of plopping its audience member into something like not derivative. It's completely organic, and then we get it, and all of a sudden it looks like Sci-Fi Channel. And granted, if like genuinely it just you don't think visually it's as appealing, fair. I disagree, but fair. The visual style of it is also just probably some of Refn's best work, and I would even say a lot of his work the past 10 years have felt like it's accumulated to sort of become this final version.
Yeah, I think we get confused between great graphics and technically proficient CGI as opposed to what is the cinematography? How is it serving its purpose for the world that is being presented? And this is something that I talk about
Mm-hmm.
all the time. I walk into a movie ready to accept and understand the world that the director is presenting, right? So, is there movies with better CGI than this? Probably, but again, that doesn't matter when I'm approaching a world that Nicolas Winding Refn has crafted for this movie. And it's the same argument as with 2008 Speed Racer came out, right? The CGI was not perfect. It looked like It looked like Windows XP graphics. And I could see that at times, but the world is so colorful, so vibrant, and it's so much fun. And it has a whole bunch of childlike wonder. And I think that the CGI and VFX work for that world. And in the same
Mm-hmm.
regards here for Her Private Hell, I think that the world building and the mystique and the mist and the fog and the lighting, the cyberpunk world that was crafted here and the effects for the movie work so well. It's kind of tongue in cheek, but it's also very beautiful.
Very
It's full of
funny.
this allure that I absolutely adore, especially when they take us to their movie set and they're filming their adaptation of the comic book Candy Floss. I love the CGI in the space, like in space itself. The exterior of the spaceship is definitely more detailed than the interior, but I love that the interior, even though it's minimalistic, you could tell it's a practical set. The pinks in the spaceship are so fucking cool. Even the change of hair and makeup and the costume design, I found it to be just so exciting. And then to see them fly in that spaceship passing these gemstones in the sky, it looked like moons, like these gemstones were like moons and they were just
Mm-hmm.
flying through the night sky. I don't know. There was something so mystical and beautiful about this world within the world. There's like three worlds here. There's the Candy Floss movie that they're filming that is almost like a centerpiece to the entire universe. And then there
Mm-hmm.
is, of course, the Detective K world where Leatherman has visited. And then, of course, you have Elle's world where she stays at in her hotel. And that's where she resides. So there's like three
Mm-hmm.
different locations for this movie. And I loved all of them.
Yeah. They're all amazing. Well, and I think they all fit the tone. I've seen this like accusation against this film that it's very self-serious, when in fact I actually think this is Refn at his least self-serious and is most tonally jovial. Like I think a lot of this movie is intentionally comedic and campy. And maybe I hate being this film fan where it's like it's a thing of like not knowing ball, but it's like the tone of it also, like I said, reminiscent of Giallo, but with the candy floss filming, like that whole set is stripped from an Ultraman episode in the 60s, which Refn's a huge
Mm,
fan of. There's the Yakuza
mm.
films of the 70s with like the blue background and the birdcage that's right from a Fukasaku film. So it's very clearly this is Refn's sandbox, and I feel like he's taking all these things he loves and he's sort of just like mashing them together to just create this like overstimulating sort of feast for you. I think the structure works perfectly because I sort of interpret L as like a very unreliable narrator. It really works when you're sort of bleeding into these different realities, especially with like the Private K one,
Yeah,
because I really love that world. And there's just such a
dude.
moody eeriness to all the blues, especially the light blue he uses and all the framing of like the Tokyo architecture. It's so elegant, and there's something so genuinely reality bending about it. Where I was like, I know this looks like architecture from East Asia, but it feels like it's almost transformed. And the fact that like it doesn't really get talked about, I think is kind of criminal. Like the set design is insane.
I was going to add too that the lighting when he first combats the Yakuza in this underground like place where they're keeping that girl chained up. I found the
Mm-hmm.
setup of that whole fight sequence to be so cool when he walks in and the first guy he like encounters and smacks up or puts the knife through his hand. He's like
Hand,
drenched in
yeah.
red, goes up, yanks another motherfucker, and then he's about to battle the big guy. And even the camera like follows him. The lighting is right. He chooses a song, or I don't even know if he plays the song, but he just goes to the machine.
Mm-hmm.
But what I loved about that was the setup is while he's fighting them, he has Charles Melton, Detective K's character, and this big fella fighting lit up in a specific color on the right side of the frame, and on the left side on a small little corner is the girl who's chained up in this like red light remains in frame the entire time. And it felt like a comic book, dude. I'm watching these people tussle
Literally.
and quarrel while we have this character just stay there just watching. I adored that shit. I was like, whoa, this is so fucking cool. Like, I don't know. I ate that up, and I think that his placement and his blocking in this movie is phenomenal.
No, I agree. I mean, two things specifically about that scene. Right after he plays the song, they're drenched in that red light, right? Right
Hmm.
when the song starts playing, you see that blue light in the middle of the red start to fade in. And you see the circle where they're fighting is blue now and there's red around it. So there's lighting within lighting. It's
Mm.
nuts. And also that scene has one of my favorite line deliveries of the year where Charles Melton, he like punches the guy and he just goes, yeah. And then he just like, he like locks in and it's like the most sincere, genuine straightening of someone's face I've ever seen. It's only, and it's a delivery you'd only see in a Refn film. And it's brilliant. I think a lot of the acting to me really sells this world. And I think specifically what you're talking about, you know, with the lighting as well, it's always shifting in the background. One thing I love is like the walls will be purple in some scenes, but then like the window where like you're seeing outside will be like a bright turquoise blue, or one window will be like a crimson red while the wall's like a singed orange or something. I love all that contrast. It's like, it almost feels like, you know, when you buy like a pack of crayons and there's just
Yeah,
like the same color but layers of it. That's what it felt like. It felt like he just got the goddamn palette and was like, all right, I want this entire shade from top to bottom on that wall. And it's just like, and he
it's
did it. It's crazy.
there is just so much of a visual feast happening in this movie that I think so much of this movie demands for you to give yourself to this world. And, you know, not downing
Mm-hmm.
or clowning anybody who doesn't like this movie. I think, again, this is why I say this. So much of this movie requires you to be like, you know what? Fuck it. Let me dive into this world.
Mm-hmm.
But the minute that score started playing, man, holy moly. You know,
Yeah.
let's
By
give our
Pino.
boy a shout out. You know, do you know how to say his name properly? Um,
I
this
don't.
guy, man. Where's he at? Where's he at? Let's find him. Pino Dogiano. I'm hoping I'm saying that right.
That's
Pino
not terrible.
Dogiano. Dogiano. I mean, like, look, dude,
DiGiorno.
DiGiorno. The
Yeah.
I'm gonna name off the 5 movies on his record right here. Okay, he's got Carrie, Blowout, Don't Look Now, Dress to Kill, Body Double, fucking Raising Cain. I mean,
Ooh.
the list is extensive. He
Ooh.
also did The Barbarians, which I believe is a
Uh,
follow up to Barbarian. I'm not entirely too
mm-hmm.
sure.
Well,
Yeah,
the four you just said out of those five are Brian De Palma films, so he's basically like
yeah.
De Palma's composer.
Oh, he also did The Howling and Piranha, which
Oh,
is
that's a great
yeah,
one.
yeah. I mean,
Damn, those are all banger scores. What the fuck? Those are all. I know the score in my head to all those movies.
no way. Yeah, I've got to get to some of these. I'm really
Yeah,
excited
those
to
are
check
all
this out.
good.
Yeah, the score is to die for. It really makes this movie feel like a fairy tale, a fucked up, weird, twisted, cyberpunk fairy tale, man. And I think that's like,
Operatic.
I think the score working in tandem here with the lighting and the atmosphere created make for such a beautiful, beautiful experience. That
Mm-hmm.
like, frankly, this is where I get a little bit more, I guess, upset because I'm just like, what did people not feel? I remember I had to use the restroom during this movie, and I think anyone else who I've seen review this movie would have been like, I would have left, taken my time, and came back. Bro, I sprinted to the restroom. I did not want to take my eyes off the screen, dude. I fucking love
Mm-hmm.
this. And I want to also give a shout out to the makeup department here. The makeup department absolutely fucking killed it. All of the look with the makeup on everyone in this movie was just unbelievable, spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
We had Louise Brunn, Savina Brink, Scott's dad, Natalia Sirik, Thomas Folberg, and Pedro Pavia. But Thomas
Oh.
Folberg actually worked on the makeup for the ugly stepsister in Antichrist. Not to mention that Jacob Marlowe, who was also on the Antichrist movie set, actually did the lighting for this movie. So there's some
Mm-hmm.
Antichrist, Lars von Trier crossover into this movie. There's some sprinkles of
He
Lars in
pulled the
this
big guns
movie.
out.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I can't praise the makeup department enough. I can't praise the lighting
I agree.
department enough. So shout out Jacob and shout out the entire makeup department team.
Shout
Um,
out.
in her private hell, Sophie Thatcher's performance should be mentioned alongside Indy Navarrete's performance in Obsession. And I know a lot of people correlate over the top performances with best performances of all time. The more you scream, the more you cry, the better a performance. And this is no shade to Indy. I think Indy gives one of the best performances of the year. But I think that Sophie Thatcher's performance is so unique and so perfect to this role, to this world. And I don't think anyone else could have pulled it off. There's this beautiful days that Sophie Thatcher has in this movie where she looks like she is lost, like she is trying to figure herself out. There is a pain, but there is so much beauty and so much beautiful agility in the way that she moves through these scenes, and the way that she's able to carry these conversations and dialogue throughout this movie is unmatched. It is absolutely beautiful. I think she kills it. It's one of my favorite performances of the year, along with Charles Melton. All right. Charles Melton has a
Yeah.
coldness in his eyes where he is determined. I'm blown away by his performance.
I think he's the standout of the movie. I mean, Sophie Thatcher, I think, has the harder task to sort of pull off because I think her character, Elle, is a little more detached and it's a little more difficult to grasp sort of what she's feeling sometimes. Whereas I think Charles Melton is like the coolest antihero you could have deciphered from any ancient story. I mean, like, his grasp on facial expressions, the way he poses, the way Nicolas Winding Refn chooses to oil him up and light him in this. It actually feels mythological in nature. That whole character, I felt like I could have read a 13 books on his adventures. I think this also goes back to Only God Forgives, with Refn sort of using mythological caricatures a lot of the time. And I think when he really applies it correctly, you get stuff like Private K, who's just really badass.
Yeah, Charles Melton, he looks fucking incredible. There's a
He
specific
looks great.
shot. There's a specific shot where fucking Refn holds the camera on Melton's abs. There is nothing in frame but
No.
Charles Melton dripping blood and sweat, and it's just abs. Like, you dirty motherfucker, man. You're such a. I
Dude,
love this shit, man. I love this shit.
That shot of his back as he's getting whipped by all the gay Japanese policemen. It was just perfect. I'm like, yeah, slap that beautiful man around. And and also one of my favorite aura shots, one of the best shots of aura of all time, is him eating in his army uniform at the table. And as he's eating, he's like smoking, and it's like pulling back, it's panning back. It's like one of the first shots we get of him, and he's at the table eating, and as he's just sitting there solemnly chewing, you just see like the smoke coming out of his nose, and he doesn't break a beat. Like, he keeps doing that, and it's just so cool. I was like,
Dude,
damn, I want to be him.
he walks with this like fervor, bro. Like, he's just walking and smoking. It's so fucking good. Charles Melton is fucking incredible. And I do think this kind of
Incredible.
ties in with the story here that I wanted to bring up, that I was starting to recognize that the way Leatherman came to be and his story was starting to become very similar to Leatherman. He lost his daughter and he went in search of it. And he said that no one would come between him and his daughter, and he would turn oceans red for his daughter. And he lost himself in that pursuit. He became a monster in that pursuit. And I was starting to notice that Charles Melton's character kind of resembled a very similar path. And if you notice, and I found it to be very curious, after one of the biggest battles with the Yakuza, he finishes them all off, and then he puts on a leather jacket. And I was like, whoa. I was like, is he becoming like Leatherman? Is he becoming Leatherman? I thought he was going to become either a Leatherman or just a symbol of
The
him
Leatherman?
losing his path and just killing indiscriminately, and becoming just another person who, in the name of searching for his daughter, he becomes a monster, And I found that to be very interesting.
No, yeah. I mean, even to add to your theory, right before he puts the leather jacket on, the two ladies that are sort of like, I guess or I don't know, what are they? They're sort of like
They're lady foxes. They are the lady
the lady
foxes.
foxes, yeah, like the storytellers.
Yeah.
They essentially say to him, "You have to become a ghost to find him." So in a
Yes.
way, it's like to find Leatherman, you have to become the Leatherman. And also, I think they're both also to add another layer on top of this Sunday we're creating. I think in a lot of ways they're both sides of her father. Where I think
Yeah.
her father really does love her and genuinely, I think would like die for Elle. Like, I think that's like one of the rare instances he's actually kind of like a real good person. Like, he loves his daughter, but he's also very sick in the head. And I think, a lot of the insinuations from like, shout out Diego Calva, his character, Nico, where he's sort of talking about the dad and how like fucked up he is. And, Leatherman's like tearing people's chests open, which by the way, one of the coolest finishing moves of any killer ever. But
Yeah.
I sort of see it. That's what I mean by the psychological level. Whereas, like, and then on top of that, I sort of see it as like her putting on the leather jacket and smoking the cigarette in her dad's room in front of the mirror. Now she's sort of pondering about her dad and his life, and whether how much of it is real or not, is up to you.
Yeah. And I have a different theory as well, which I kind of discussed with you a little bit before, but I want to
Mm-hmm.
just kind of bring into the forefront here Dominique and Elle's relationship
Yes.
and how we explored that, because I found myself thinking how much Elle wants to be Dominique as opposed to be with her, because Dominique has never had to put a front. She is she's an evil or somewhat semi-evil. She's just got malicious intentions, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if we were friends and you end up dating my dad, it's just crazy
Yeah.
work, right? Like, but
Mm-hmm.
again, I think that she also never has to put on like, and she constantly tells her like, "Oh, you will never be part of this family," but she already is, and she's never had to
Mm-hmm.
pretend to be anything else. Whereas Elle doesn't even have a really good relationship with her dad, and she kind of longs to know her father, have that relationship, something that Dominique has. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
she has an admiration for Dominique, but also hates her. um, just kind of ties into what they describe Johnny Rocket as in the beginning. They say that he is a man
Mm-hmm.
who wants to impress and wants to be impressed. But usually the latter, he wants to be impressed. And she goes on to say that
Mm-hmm.
it must be. They say that I'm like him, and it must be genetic. And I think that it's almost the same for her too.
Well, I'd even take it one step further. I think Dominique actually had like a potential sexual relationship with Elle because
Mm,
there's that scene where she's like, "Let's play orphans," and then she's like, "I remember giving you drinks," and then she doesn't say, "I brought you home and you threw up." She says, "You threw up in my bed." And then also
mm,
on top of that, when they're kissing later, because there's this insinuation, there's a scene on the rooftop where she's like, I know that like we'll never be the same, but like I love you either way. And then it sort of crescendos into later where in the club, Elle kisses her and she sort of goes, "Oh, I don't actually like you." And you can see in Elle's face, there's a palpable soul crushing rejection happening, insinuating to me that like there was some underlying feelings that she was denying. Because the way the film opens, she's just like, "Whatever, there's my dumb stepmom. Did you learn that at a sound bath or whatever?"
yeah.
And I think I don't know if it's 100% confirmed because obviously the movie's very vague, but I think there's a lot of manipulation going on. And I think even like her becoming her stepmom feels like this weird puzzle piece in a larger fight between these two women.
Mm. Yeah, I can see that 100%. And I think that's a theory that I've heard floating around too, that they did have a
Mhm.
romantic relationship before. Um, I guess I didn't take it that far because in my mind, it was just always Elle just trying to be her so much so that she kind of like formed a crush for her, in a weird sense where
Mhm.
like admiration and love kind of blended up.
That's
Um,
fair.
I do want to now conclude to my theory, and if you haven't seen the movie, you definitely should check it out. Obviously, we're discussing a bunch of stuff with spoilers, but I have a theory that Dominique is actually Detective K's daughter, and I actually have something else to back it up a little bit more. There is a line on here that says, "Time bows to love." And at the very end, Elle uses that axe that was given to her by her dad with the note that said,
Mm-hmm.
"Time bows to love," and kills Leatherman. She ends up killing him with that axe. So she killed him with love. And
Mm-hmm.
time bows to love. And we see the little girl, Detective K's daughter, come out. And she is in that costume that Dominique wore for the shooting of the movie. Same costume, same makeup, same everything. And I believe in that moment, in some weird time conundrum way, and it might be a reach, that
Mm-hmm.
is Detective K's daughter in the past or the future, or something like that. Anyway, the line is time
Yeah.
bows to love. And I think that's where time has no existence. Dominique is Detective K's daughter and is returned to him. And they sort of fade. And I think that that's when Detective K becomes a ghost and actually
Mm-hmm.
defeats Leatherman. It's a very loose theory. And it is also one that I'm not entirely too sure is bulletproof, but
Nah, stand your ground. Stand your ground.
yeah, actually, yeah, this is fact. This is fact.
Just say it.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
fuck it. That's fact.
yeah, it's great. But listen, I love this movie. We didn't really talk about Diego Calva, but Diego Calva was dressing slutty as
Oh, dude,
fuck in this movie.
he's actually. I'm gonna be real. Him and Hunter are like the two performances I actually would call bad. But
You
I
didn't like
think
Diego Calva's performance?
I think it's fun. But
Okay,
I think his is the one where I don't 100% know if it's a part of the character, if it's just the delivery. I mean,
yeah.
it's still funny. Like, like I don't think anyone in this film is terrible. I think that was just the one time where I was like, I don't know if this is 100% delivering. It was still great. It's still rambunctious enough of a character where I was like, it's cool. It's fine.
Yeah, I honestly enjoyed
Mm-hmm.
Diego Calva, but I don't know if it was his
Mm-hmm.
performance or because of how good he looked on the screen. Either way,
Yeah.
regardless, I enjoyed both.
Yeah.
I enjoyed
Johnny
his
Thunder's one
delivery.
sick motherfucker. I
This
love
is
how he
such a
says
fun
that.
movie. It became one of my
Yeah.
favorite movies of the year. I honestly can't wait to rewatch this again. I've only seen it twice. I know
Mm-hmm.
you've seen it 3 times, which
Yeah.
I am
The
incredibly
third, yeah,
jealous.
the third watch is where I came to my theory of the ending because I think there's a shot near the end where she has that fight with Dominique and she goes to her room and there's a very personal shot of her eye and it looks like it's dilating. And right when it goes to that shot, the fog starts to come under the door. When she cuts off Leatherman's hands at the end, they give her the gloves. And I sort of see the Leatherman as this like overarching repression happening in her life. And I think when she cuts those hands off, she's kind of like taking the role of like, no, I'm not being like the one oppressed anymore. Like I'm unleashing my hell. I'm not in a private hell anymore. It's everyone's hell.
Mm,
And I sort of took it a little darker, but that's sort of how I conceptualized it based off what I was seeing, you know?
yeah. Yeah. Listen, I love this movie. It's in
Love
my
this
top
movie.
5 of the year. I'm excited to rewatch it again. And
Mhm.
if you haven't watched this, do yourself a motherfucking favor. Go watch Her Private Hell. Form your own
Mhm.
opinion. And again, a lot of this movie is contingent on whether or not you like the vibe and you're willing to give yourself to that vibe. And I
Yeah.
adored this vibe. And next year, actually, he's going to be shooting Maniac Cop. And he's going to be shooting it in LA. I'm really, really excited to see how that turns out. We
Mhm.
actually do have a quote from Refn who said that the concept of recreating Maniac Cop has always appealed to him. In today's political and social climate, the iconography of Maniac Cop alone provokes an immediate, uneasy reaction. I've been watching it all unfold while constructing this project in the shadows, waiting. I love this motherfucker. Now that
Dude, like
moment
a
has
fucking villain.
now that moment has finally arrived. The time has come to unveil a radical new vision where there is no protection, no safety net, only mayhem.
Mhm.
My dude,
Only police brutality.
I'm so fucking excited to see whatever he's got to cook up. Very interested to see this world. I know you have some last thoughts on Her Private Hell and how you feel about Her Private Hell.
Yeah. Well, first of all, Maniac Cop's gonna rock. We're getting Depraved Ref in full force next year. I'm so excited.
So
But
stoked.
yeah, to wrap up my thoughts, I think this is an eloquent little space opera that he's manufactured. Nicolas Winding Refn is an interesting filmmaker. He's followed me most of my life since I saw Bronson in like middle school, early high school. And to see him sort of build upon his style and his storytelling and having it sort of reach its zenith in a lot of ways here, it's very mesmerizing, and I'm really excited that he's back in the game.
I'm super excited to see whatever Nicolas Winding Refn has to conjure up after Maniac Cop. But of course, for now, I'll be happy with Her Private Hell and Maniac Cop. And I really want to just dive into all of his movies. I haven't done his work justice. So I'm definitely gonna get on it, guys. But I love this movie. It's one of my favorites of the year. And I have nothing else to say, but congrats. Thank God that he's back to cinema. Nicolas Winding Refn is back, baby. He's back, baby. Listen,
back.
Working Class Frame Rate. We're working on OG versus remake. Texas Chainsaw Massacre coming within the next couple of days. We're talking about Texas Chainsaw 1 versus Texas Chainsaw 2003. Which one is better? Is the remake any good? We're going to discuss all of that in our episode, OG versus remake. I'm host Sweaty, and this is Working Class Frame Rate here with my co-host,
Austin Cummings.
And we're Working Class Frame Rate, baby. We'll catch y'all very soon.
Sayonara.